It's a historic day for all of us tech and auto enthusiasts here in India because I am sat beside one of the biggest launches of 2024 here in India, the Tata Curvv. This is the electric vehicle, and I'm joined by a very special guest, Shailesh Chandra of Tata Motors. Shailesh, what a pleasure to have you on Tech today. Shailesh, it is a historic launch for Tata, for what we are doing here in India, and for tech and auto enthusiasts. But the focus on the EV, and I know the price being the real elephant in the room, we were waiting anxiously, but that can really prove to be a game changer in the segment, Shailesh.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. This is one of the much awaited launch, for the country as well as for us. It was very special, given that in the SUV segment, if you really see the history of Tata Motors, we have been the pioneers of bringing different kind of SUVs. Starting from in the early 90s, we had the Sierra, which was quite ahead of its time. We introduced the lifestyle SUV in the country also through the introduction of Safari. Even Nexon and Punch were the game changers in their respective segment, and they created a segment. So it was important then that when we are entering the mid SUV segment, we come with not something which is me too. We wanted to come with something which is clutter breaking in a very congested segment, which has now grown to a size which gives option of further fragmenting this segment with experimenting with new body styles and all. So what we saw is that coupe as a body style was becoming very popular globally,
right.
Especially today in global premium SUVs. If you see, typically you have a coupe, right, in that segment. Therefore, we thought, let's democratize the concept of SUV coupe, which is globally growing, and bring it in India and experiment in a segment which is the fastest growing segment. That was the thought behind the Curvv. And of course, EV has been a journey for us in the last 5 years, and we have been working on overcoming multiple barriers: price, range, charging infra, etc., giving wider range of portfolio choices to the customers. This is a big one for us because this is the product which actually brings EVs on parity with the ICE automatic cars. And therefore it is a very momentous occasion for us, having achieved that kind of a milestone in our journey. And I'm sure that customers are going to really like the overall value proposition, including price and very high-tech features and the lovely body style that you have. So we hope that this product is going to really do well for us.
Features and price being one element, Shailesh, another key element, especially for millennials and Gen Z, happens to be range anxiety when you're talking about EVs. I know from the keynote that seems to be something that the Tata Motors team has been working on very closely. How much of a focus did the team have on something like range anxiety? Because when you're talking about an EV and parity with ICE counterparts, I think that becomes the key question.
You're absolutely right. See, we always knew that it is the 400-kilometer hurdle that you need to cross to really take care of the range anxiety that exists. And that had been always the obsession for us, how we can give a real range which is 400, 450 kilometers, because 85% of the intercity drive in the country is less than 400 kilometers. So if you really cross this barrier, then we will be able to really take care of the range anxiety. We will also take care of the issues on charging infra side, which is not growing to the extent that it should grow basis the EV adoption which is happening in the country. That was always an obsession, but we could not deliver that because you had to keep your prices closer to the ICE.
Right.
And the battery prices at that point in time were so high that you could only give low range vehicle to be in the ballpark of where the ICE counterparts were. But now you have seen in the last 1.5 years, the battery prices have sharply come down by 50%. And that has really helped us in further doing localization, re-engineering of the battery pack to bring down the cost to a level that we are able to deliver, 45, 55 kilowatt hour battery pack at a price parity. So I think this has been a journey. It has been obsession of our engineers and people which have really helped us achieve this milestone.
You mentioned the prices coming down and adoption going up, but what's interesting is within the Tata Group, there have been some massive announcements in the past week as well with the chip facility that was announced, unprecedented, massive news coming out of Assam. How much would we be able to leverage some of these strengths and resources within the group when we're talking about scaling up, especially the electric vehicle business?
There's a lot happening in the group, and frankly, I would not be the right person to comment on that. But broadly, if you see, the direction is that there's a lot happening in the area of sustainability. There's a lot of opportunity coming in the supply chain for electrification as a big mega trend. And at the same time, the auto industry is also going through massive shift towards software on wheels, right? So there's a huge set of opportunities which is available for the group also. And therefore you are seeing a cell manufacturing entity coming in to leverage on that. There is a TACO as an entity which is leveraging and really is the foundation of the electric vehicle component industry. They have, first localized the components in India. Similarly, you are seeing as everything is becoming more and more software oriented, the use of chip in cars are also increasing year after year. And then you have other applications in different industries. So I think the group is seeing more holistically of the opportunities which are coming in the country. At the same time, the government's direction of Make in India is also, one of the pivots around which everybody is responding, and Tata Group has always been very responsible when it comes to anything as far as nation building is concerned. So I see these initiatives as a larger part of that thought process.
When we look at the global market for electric vehicles, Shailesh, it's interesting because there was a lot of buzz about EVs, but it has slowed down globally. We see a different trend here in India, and we see a lot of manufacturers really pushing for EVs. Do you think that the tides are going to turn, and really India would be the bastion of where that actually happens? Also, given the fact that we have a lot of manufacturing happening here in India, innovation happening here in India, could we also perhaps be more influential in turning the tables when it comes to EV trends and mass adoption?
1 year back, if you would have asked this question, the EVs were growing at 60%, 70%. In India also it was growing in double, 2 times, factor of 2 times and all. Recently there have been different reasons in different parts of the world why things slowed down. In Europe, if you see, it slowed down because an incentive or subsidy was removed by Germany. Similarly, in China, you had seen the subsidy going down. And therefore, every region has its own reason why it is. Yes. One thing which is not ever debated is that eventual technology in auto industry is a BEV. Nobody is even talking about that there is any conflict. There are technologies in the intermediate which is always under discussion, but I believe that what you have seen is because of regional, different factors are behind the slowdown of EVs. In India, it is because of the larger retail stress that you are seeing in the industry, and EV is a part of it. But one big factor in India why it has gone down is because of discontinuation of, I would not say, that's the wrong word, expiry of the FAME 2 incentive, right, which led to a significant pre-buy in Q4 for fleet segment. And now there is an expectation of FAME 3 coming in, so there is postponement now. So this is a phase where there's a drastic fall in the demand for fleet segment. So therefore, short-term pressures are for certain reasons. Long-term trend is known that it is EV. And therefore, in long term, EV is going to grow very fast. It is a matter of now when it will start growing very fast. So we are not perturbed. The whole focus for us is to keep launching the right products, keep overcoming the barriers, keep working on the fundamental blocks of what is needed to mainstream electrification in India. And as a group, we'll be very committed to. That's why you are seeing we are coming with products. There's an Agratas which is working on cell manufacturing. There's a TACO which is going full blast as far as component localization is concerned. So we are fully committed, and we are confident that this is the technology to focus on, because this is the eventual technology which is eventually going to really stay.
I know this is a tough question to answer, but I have to ask you this. There was, of course, a lot of cheers and jeers when the car was launched, and social media was abuzz, because this is something people have been waiting for a long time. But in terms of design, we also have the ICE counterpart, the Tata Curvv ICE edition. How do you see it? And I know it's like asking about two siblings or two kids, but how do you see the two really panning out in terms of sales? Is it going to be EVs that would do better, or do you think there's a market for both? How do you really factor that in?
So see, we have seen that in the current state of the ecosystem development of electric vehicles. We already have 4 products in the market. This is the 5th one in the personal segment. We have seen it varies from 15% to 35% penetration, right? We'll have to see where this kind of pegs itself. Therefore, it is very clear that EVs will still be lesser as compared to the ICE counterpart, because this is going through its period of evolution, adoption, where late majorities are still coming in. I think this is a big moment where the price parity has been achieved. The range is also to an extent that it overcomes the range anxiety. So a lot of barriers have got addressed. Even the charging time has come down. So I believe therefore the penetration level should go up, but still the ICE would definitely sell more because you are also giving multi-powertrain options there. You are giving a diesel, you are giving 2 petrol versions. So I think both should be selling good, but if I have to be very fair, candid, of course ICE will sell more than the EVs.
As a last question, Shailesh, I just want to understand the general trend of the auto sector. Now, we are big tech geeks here on Tech Today, and honestly, the way we cover technology, we think that auto and tech, the two sectors are merging very, very closely. Now, is it globally the Elon Musk effect, or is it that Gen Z and millennials really think that tech is the differentiating factor when they are making such an informed purchase decision? How do you see it as an expert, a veteran in this space, and also leading one of the top automotive companies in the world?
I clearly see that that expectation and the direction in which the auto industry is going is pretty much aligned, because cars are nothing but mobile on wheels now, right? And therefore, if you really see, every element, every subsystem is software triggered. It is software derived, software defined, and therefore, as you see in the mobile phone, every feature is software defined, right? And therefore, there is a greater trend of cars now moving fast towards software defined vehicles. Essentially, it means that your electrical architecture is going to align to that, which means that today if you buy a car with certain set of features, it is not that if you want to access the new features, you'll have to really go for a new upgrade. Like in mobile phone and other gadgets, you have the possibility of getting your features updated on the go as you are owning in the ownership period. I think that's the world we are going to see in the auto industry of software defined vehicles, which is not like 5 years, 10 years away from now. It's just a year or 2 years away from us now. And therefore, a lot of architectural shift in auto industry is happening towards software defined vehicles, where features will be, transferred over the air, FOTA and all what we are saying. You can keep purchasing the features as and when you go. So that world is this is very much now becoming a tech product rather than the automotive which we had studied in our college as mechanical engineers. It's a software, more or less.
Absolutely, Shailesh. What an absolute pleasure. And I think the focus on AI as well from the keynote and machine learning is good to see that such fantastic Make in India products are coming right here from the Pune facility as well. What an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And we really hope that the next time we do an update to this, we end up doing it in one of your futuristic EVs. What a pleasure to have you on the show.
Most welcome. It was a pleasure.